Hello, good evening, and welcome back. So, Boris Johnson has finally contracted COVID-19, coronavirus, the Chinese virus, the Wuhan flu, Kung flu, the Holocaust, whatever you want to call it. He has now got it. Of course, it wasn't a matter of if, but when, considering how many people he's had to be in contact with and the globe-trotting that he does and international travellers that he talks to. Of course he was going to get it, of course. So he's come out in a video message to tell us all that, yes, he's had some mild symptoms and therefore was tested, and they went, yes, you've got it. Okay, cool, well then I'll self-isolate for 25 days, try and do the job as best I can from home. But if anything does happen to Boris Johnson and he isn't fit for office, then Dominic Raab is the second in command in order to take over. And that is how the hierarchy stands at the moment. What I'd like to focus on are the responses to it, primarily the positive responses, because we could all do with a bit of joy in our lives. So, of course, there have been negative ones from verified check marks on Twitter saying, oh, how ironic that you've got it. It's like, yeah, because you should have shut the borders earlier. I don't think that's what you mean. Oh, you mean cutting NHS funding? But it's really shutting the borders that would have helped, isn't it? And of course, they're saying, oh yay, we're just glad that he's got it and hopefully he'll die. Which, I don't see what he's done so terribly wrong that people wish death upon him. But I suppose once you get that entrenched into your beliefs and echo chambers and never get told that you're wrong, it's understandable for it to accelerate that way. But, of course, this is the situation we find ourselves in. This is what we've got to deal with. And social networks, as in people that you're actually friends with and have a meaningful connection with, not online social media and social networking sites, but actual social networks are vital in keeping people alive. The thought is that if you don't want to be alive, then your body will just stop. Whereas if you do want to be alive, your body will find a way to keep going. Also why it's suggested that older people seem so peaceful when they die, because they finally thought, yeah, I'm done now. That's fine. I'm going to tap out of life. And they do. And the studies that I've seen also show partly why women survive cancer better than men is because women have better social groups and social networks than men do. I won't go into why that could be. And if there might be an accurate trope of a woman telling her husband to not hang out with the guys. But anyway, that is the fact of the matter. So seeing as Johnson is getting these supportive messages in, it is definitely useful, helpful, and of course allows people to virtue signal, if you will, but also put aside the differences instead of being concerned about who's going to do politicking when and where, like is happening in America, of course, with the bill to pass $2 trillion, which I think is either a fifth or a quarter of the annual budget. Could even be half, just straight in one go. And the Democrats are saying, oh, but what about black people on managerial boards and carbon footprints for planes? I said, well, and then are they getting enough money? So, well, you're thinking that at the moment they're being paid $12 and you want to give them $27 an hour. They're going to be paid much more for not working than if they're working for at least the next 4 months. I don't think that's a very accurate plan. Otherwise, they'll quit now, and then good luck trying to get them back in the workforce afterwards. Remember, it's a crisis. This isn't a paradigm change in terms of our economies. Otherwise, you will just run it into the ground sooner. And I know that we don't want government intervention, but they have already intervened by forcing a quarantine and stopping people from being allowed to work. And if they wish to do that, then they have to give them some other way in order to survive. Because if you're not allowing somebody to work, then you've got to give them another option. And so the government has decided quantitative easing and just lowering the value of money is the way to go. So there we are. Or, of course, you could do, well, here are your necessities, and we're doing rationing not based on cost, but how much we think you need. And that's what we'll be getting. So we're not going to touch money at all. It's just going to be the provision side of the people who are providing those necessities. So nobody else is going to get any more money because you don't need the money. We're just going to make sure that everybody is taken care of. So then, perhaps along the supply chain, they need to be remunerated financially, unless the message gets through that this is important for everyone, in which case it can be a deferred gratification of no tax on them, for example. That kind of thing. That would be nice. So do it that way instead. But no, they've just wanted to just throw money at the problem. Well done. Well done. Like the apathetic dad. The stereotype. Just, Dad, we don't have any emotional connection. It's like, do you want a bike? Do you want a games console? Just leave me alone. Let me give you some material goods. It's that kind of attitude. But anyway, yes, the responses have been quite nice. And the one that I wish to start with, despite the left's response in how aggressive it's been and wishing death upon him, I would like to go to the cult leader himself, Jeremy Corbyn. And as he says here, I wish the Prime Minister a speedy recovery and hope his family are safe and healthy. Coronavirus can and does affect anyone. Everyone be safe. Our own health depends on everybody else. Which is really fine. It's not attacking, it's not politicking, it's actually an admirable statement. You're wishing your political enemy good health because he hasn't done anything personally against you, and you don't think of him as evil, you just think his opinions are wrong. So you still value him as a human being, which is fantastic. And of course you're making it a broader point to mention it to everybody else, to show that you are thinking of everybody else and you're not going out of your way to respect those power dynamics of saying, well, he's the leader, so he should get preferential treatment. And that plays into your core base as well of communism. So, yeah. Well done, Jeremy Corbyn. You've actually been all right, and you haven't sided with the coronavirus, even though it's an enemy of the UK. So, well done. Even though, of course, some green people have to say that coronavirus is the cure and humans are the disease, but not the leader of the Green Party, Caroline Lucas, who instead decides to also be positive. I wish both Boris Johnson and Matt Hancock a speedy recovery from COVID-19. Hope their families are safe and well, and my thoughts with everyone suffering from coronavirus. So, of course, bringing in everybody else as you would. Well done. And obviously the people who are friends with them as well, Netanyahu, Hunt, Trump, they've all joined in. Of course they have. But nonetheless, I thought it worthwhile to say that, the opposition, if you will, people who don't agree with him ideologically, still wish to be positive. And so any of the followers who are wishing harm upon him can hopefully view that, and if they're easily impressionable because of echo chambers, where they've been in there so long that they now think it's acceptable to suggest such things and actually think that your political enemy is the personification of evil, then they can look at what their own leaders are doing and saying, well, okay, maybe if they're actually being nice to them, maybe I am overreacting a bit. And they can take their message through and be nicer to their fellow man as well, and not start lashing out with violence when somebody says something they find objectionable. Maybe, and I know it's a long shot, but maybe that can proliferate into wider society and allow people to be more tolerant of views shown, and all the time it's just speech. Leave them as they are. Allow these things to be aired and said, mentioned. That would be delightful. And understand that the vast majority of people are not evil, they just have a different opinion from you. They want the same outcome of a better life for themselves, their family, the community, the world. They just have a different idea of how to get there. So they're not evil, they're just, as far as you're concerned, misinformed. And that is a vital point that I hope more people can get behind. And therefore, we're not going to get emotional about it, because we're not thinking that we're fighting a demon. It's just we're having a disagreement with another valued human being. And that is what I'd love to take away from this, that in this time of need, even the oppositions, the enemy politicians, if you will, can still say, hey, sorry that you're not feeling well. Thoughts with you. Hopefully that you get well soon. We're all looking out for you, and hopefully we can get back on to our normal disagreements before long. But while we have this common enemy that is inhuman, we can actually team together, keep the social distancing, put in place all the precautions that are necessary, keep using the private market in order to create the or manufacture the face masks, ventilators, respirators, as they are doing so well, and come out of this better, hopefully stronger. Any particular culture within the UK that isn't so hygienic might face worse problems. Any particular culture that has their extended families living with them and older people with the children may also face difficult problems, although I think they're the same group, so they might have more issues than most. And any that have a disproportionately large amount of genetic defects and complications within their children due to inbreeding will also be harder hit. So I think there's a very good chance that Britain could come out of this a better country when the time comes. Of course, we're still in the thick of it, I understand that, but there is a definite possibility that we can come out better and stronger for it, and hopefully we don't need to open our borders again anytime soon. I suppose as something Sargon said recently, that everybody's getting what they want, that you've got the borders closed, you've got fresh air, you can see the bottom of the Venice canals, you've got your universal basic income, you've got government seizing the means of production for the healthcare. Everyone seems to be getting a little bit of what they want. So, hey, bravo to that. And every cloud has a silver lining, except for uranium-238 nuclear clouds, which seem to have a green tinge. But hey, good news. So I hope you take that into your weekend. And unfortunately, our Prime Minister is ill, mild symptoms, but should be able to recover fine, as we've heard testimonies from other people who have recovered fine. But actually, the support that has been shown is greatly appreciated by myself and I'm sure others. And hopefully we can put that into our lives, make the world a better place. With coronavirus or without Kung flu. the Wuhan flu. The Holocaust. Okay, until next time, have a good one.